Hey yo, what's up guys? Hope you're having a fantastic day. It's Tazz here, aka Fantastic Mr. Fox. Back again with another amazing and helpful video for you guys. So in today's video, I'll be giving you the top 3 SMG setup class to use on Rebirth Island. I'm going to be comparing all the SMGs that are supposedly the best or the meta at the moment, and I'll give you my top 3 recommended SMGs and the best attachments for the build. So guys, if you're new to my channel, what I do is guides, walkthrough, hints and tips and how-to videos for Warzone, particularly focusing on Rebirth Island, as there isn't many creators that focus on Rebirth. So if you want more amazing and helpful videos like this, then definitely hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so right here we got the MAC-10 in orange, the Bullfrog in pink, Cold War MP5 in turquoise, LC10 in green, PPHS in purple, and the Modern Warfare MP5 in a light pink. I've just put these two in, the Modern Warfare MP5 and the PPSH, because there's a lot of people saying that the PPSH is very good at the moment. But as you can see, in that 10 meters range, the PPSH is very, very slow time to kill, and this is on chest with 3 plates. It's very slow. The only time it's good is in this 15 to 20 meters or 25 meters plus, but the most of the engagements, you know, more often than not, is going to be within this 15 meters, inside 15 meters, and it's too slow to actually compete. So more often than not, you're going to lose to gunfights within this 15 meters than you do out towards 15 plus meters. And it's an SMG build, so for that reason I'm going to take the PPSH out. And then we got the Modern Warfare MP5 against the Cold War MP5. Straight away we can see that the Modern Warfare is much better than the the Cold War is much better than the Modern Warfare. Even at range it's still better. And because the Cold War has better mobility, like movement speed, blah blah blah, all of this mobility with the attachments, it's a much better MP5 than the Modern Warfare version. And because we're going to be using it on Rebirth Island, I would suggest the the Cold War version of MP5 over the Modern Warfare for Rebirth Island. So for that reason, I'm going to take out the Modern Warfare MP5 as well, and then we're just going to compare these. Again, change this down to 10 meters so we get a better understanding. Okay, so now we can see 3 plates, chest shots, and this is the TTKs. So straight away we can see the Cold War MP5 is very, very good within that 10 meters. You know, it's going to delete anybody within that 10 meters. And then most of the SMG engagement is going to be within the 20 meters range. So 0 to 20 meters. That's the most SMG range. So we can see that the LC10 has the longest range and the longest drop-off point at 20 meters, which is why the LC10 is very, very good. And then we got the MAC-10 here in orange, which has got a nice range as well, up until about 15.5, 16 meters. And then we got the Bullfrog. The Bullfrog is the king of headshots. Because the MAC-10 was nerfed last season, there's not much of a headshot multiplier for the MAC-10 anymore. But if we change over to stomach shot, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We can see that between this 13 meters and like 16 meters, they're all pretty close. Even though the Bullfrog drops off a little bit. So what that means is if we mix up our headshots with some chest shots, the Bullfrog will always come out on top. And more often than not, your engagements will be within that 15 meters or even 10 meters, because it's Rebirth Island, the map is quite small. You're always running into buildings, you know, trying to get some kills, trying to push teams in buildings. So most of the engagement is going to be between that 10 meters or within the 15 meters. So that's what we need to keep in mind about this class setup and these builds. It also depends on your playstyle as well. So if you're very aggressive and you can close down the distance between you and the enemy. So if you're pushing buildings, pushing teams, you know, trying to be super aggro, going for kills, then you want to go for the MP5, because most of your engagements is going to be within the 10-meter range when you're pushing teams, pushing buildings. And as you can see, it deletes people, even headshots, stomach shots. It's far better than the other SMGs. Even if we look at extremities, which is like legs or arms, it deletes people, and it's way better than the other SMGs. So that's one playstyle, the MP5 for close engagement. But because the Bullfrog is the headshot king, if we look at headshots and the time to kill, 0.23 milliseconds and 0.351 milliseconds. So that's not a really big difference, but because this is theoretical TTK, so that means all of the headshots are landing, but you know, it's not practical, sorry. It doesn't mean that you're going to land only headshots. So you're going to land some chest shots as well. So that means, you know, the MP5 comes out on top of the Bullfrog within that 10 meters range, comes out on top. So what that means is, you know, if you're getting headshots and if you're getting chest shots and one headshot, the MP5 within that 10 meters range is always going to be on top. And then if you look at the second playstyle, you know, between 10 to 15 meters, which is a little bit like, you know, a little bit conservative, but you're still trying to get some kills, you know, you're still trying to push teams, but you know, most of your engagements is going to be within that 10 to 15 meters. You're playing a little bit conservative, you know, not just rushing in and trying to be super aggro. You're a little bit conservative. The second playstyle. So for the second playstyle, I would suggest the Bullfrog. The Bullfrog, you know, because it's got a little bit more range than the MP5. You can see it's got a little bit more range than the MP5. If you hit chest shots and stomach shots, you can see that the Bullfrog is pretty decent compared to the other ones. Between that, you know, 10 to 15 meters is pretty decent. And then because the Bullfrog is headshot king, you know, it's gonna, if you do manage to get a headshot or even two headshots within that range, then it's gonna be way faster than these other SMGs. And then for the longer engagements, for, you know, between 10 and 20 meters, for those people that are, you know, playing a bit more conservative, you know, not pushing teams so much, and, you know, not trying to go super aggro or trying to go for, like, you know, high kill games or something like that, then you have the LC10, which is very good all around. It's very good, you know, it has a good range as well. The first drop off is 20 meters, which is a very good range, and it has, if we look at the base stats, it has decent damage profiles, 48, 30, and then 27, which is quite decent. You know, it's not so far off the MP5 and not so far off the Bullfrog either. And for the longer engagements, you got, you know, the LC10 or the MAC-10. The MAC-10s has always been decent for long range because it was so versatile, you know, up close and at long range, because it had quite a decent range as well. But because it got nerfed last season, it's not really viable anymore, but it's still very good. You know, I would still recommend that if you don't like the other SMGs, then do try the MAC-10. It is a very decent SMG. The only problem I have with the MAC-10, because of the fire rate is so high. The fire rate is so high, that means you're going to be burning through the mag so quickly. What that means, especially on Rebirth, what that means is, you know, to kill one person or even two enemies, you're gonna be burning through the mag straight away. You know, you're gonna down one and then down another, and your mag's gonna be finished. And then, you know, if it's trios, then that means the third teammate is gonna probably just finish you. So that's why, one of the reasons I don't like the MAC-10, because of the fire rate. It shoots too fast, but because it shoots fast, because the fire rate is high, the TTK is quite low as well. Whereas the other SMGs, as you can see, it has quite decent fire rates, you know, 750, which is pretty decent, 790 for the LC10, and 850 for the MP5, which is quite fast fire rate for SMG. And then if we look at the bullet velocity, you know, they're all pretty decent. The Bullfrog obviously has the most bullet velocity, and that's why the TTK is so low for the Bullfrog. So one thing we need to keep in mind about the TTKs and the MAC-10 especially is the open bolt delay. Because the MAC-10 has an open bolt delay, we have to take that into consideration. Open bolt delay and ADS times if we take that into consideration, we can see how it changes a little bit. Headshots, let's go to chest shots. You can see how that changes a little bit with the MAC-10 and Bullfrog. They come a little bit closer, and you can see the Bullfrog, the LC10 also comes quite. They're all quite close within that 13 to 16 meters. So just to recap, if you're going super aggro and you can close the distance between you and the enemy, then I would suggest the MP5. If you're a little bit conservative, you know, but you still want to get some kills, then I would suggest the Bullfrog. And if you're looking for all round, you know, a little bit longer engagement, if you're more conservative than usual, or more conservative and you want to keep a little bit of distance, you know, and you have a little bit less aggro play style and you want an all-rounder, then the LC10 is for you. As you can see, it's pretty decent, you know, it has a good range as well. It has good damage profiles. So now we're just going to have a look at what it looks like, what the TTK looks like with the best attachments for these weapons. So as you can see, these are with the best attachments. With the best attachments for the MP5, from the before it was 9 meters, you can increase that to a massive 10 meters. It's not a big difference, but you know, it still helps out. So this is 3 plates with chest shots with the best attachments for all of these weapons. Chest shots, as you can see, the MP5 is always going to be the best SMG at very, very close range, up to 10 meters. It's going to be always going to be on top. And then we got the Bullfrog as well. That's why the Bullfrog is so good, because it's, you know, it has very good bullet velocity. That's why the TTK is so low. So, you know, if you're looking for that, you know, super aggro, then MP5 or Bullfrog. So what is the best attachments for these weapons? So first let's start off with the LC10. So if you do have a blueprint, always use the blueprint, because it not only does it look nicer, sometimes it does have, you know, better stats, as we learned from the MAC-10 Gallantry, as we also learned from Season 1 Modern Warfare Warzone with the EBR, one-shot headshot, kill anywhere, any distance. So if you do have a blueprint, always use the blueprint. Okay, so for the muzzle, always go for the agency suppressor. You know, it's a given for every weapon pretty much in Warzone. You stay off the minimap. Increased vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range, even though the LC10 doesn't need damage range. Next attachment is the ammo. So I've gone for the 45 round ammo. You can go for 55, but I believe 45 is plenty for Rebirth Island. You know, you can down 1, down 2, and kill a third with 45 rounds if you hit your shots, that is. Next is the stock, and I've gone for the SAS combat stock. The reason I've gone for this one is because improved firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, and ADS firing move speed. That means if you're strafing left to right, you know, if you're moving while firing, you're going to be basically flying left and right, throwing off the enemy's shots. So you'll be a harder target to shoot with that movement speed. If you prefer, you can go for the Raider stock, which gives you an increased sprint to fire, but because it's an SMG, it's already got a decent sprint to fire. I prefer the ADS firing move speed, or firing movement speed instead, you know, just to make sure that I'm always coming out on top, you know, when I'm in a 50-50 gunfight, because of the strafe speed between that. Then, you know, because it's a long distance gun, it has more of a range. You want an optic on this one. I've gone for the Microflex LED because it's a low zoom LED, but it's got a clear side picture. You know, for that longer distance, you can definitely hit those shots with this optic. Now, the last attachment is up to you, but I've gone for the extended barrel just to give it a better bullet velocity for that longer range, you know, for that range between 15 to 20 meters. Just to make sure that the bullets travel faster and hit the target faster. But if you want, you can go for a barrel instead, you know. Feed edge and grip for the recoil control, or bruiser grip for more movement speed, and better movement speed and better hip fire accuracy. Okay, so if you prefer to use the MAC-10 over the LC-10, then these are the attachments for you. So once again, make sure that you use a blueprint if you do have a blueprint. So once again, agency suppressor, always, as you're going to stay off the minimap, you know, increased vertical recoil control, bullet velocity and damage range. Second attachment, under barrel for better movement speed and hip fire accuracy. Third attachment is the 53 round mag. You know, definitely choose this one instead of the fast mag, because there's a huge penalty on the ADS with the fast mag, and because the MAC-10 has an open bolt delay, you don't want to increase the aim down sight speed. And to counter that, you know, counter the ADS aim down sight speed from the barrel attachment, we got the speed tape to decrease that and also help with the you know, open bolt delay. And then once again, I've gone for the SAS combat stock because of the movement speed. You know, once again, if you're strafing, you know, back and forth, you're basically flying left and right, making you a harder target to hit for the enemy. So you're most likely going to be, you know, coming out on top. If it's a 50-50 gunfight, then, you know, because you're moving left and right, you're strafing left and right. And because you move so fast when you're strafing left and right, then, you know, the enemy is going to miss some shots and you should always come out on top. I haven't gone for an optic for this because, you know, the iron sights on this is pretty decent, and you know, it's pretty easy to hit those shots with this iron sight because it's very clean. You don't really need an optic. So next up we got the Bullfrog. So once again, definitely use the suppressor. The last suppressor in this case is the crew suppressor, so it's pretty much the monolithic suppressor. Same benefits again. And then second attachment, I've gone for the task force to increase that damage range a little bit, and with this you also get a strafe speed increase as well, so that's always good. As I mentioned before, you know, strafe speed means when you're moving left to right, you become a harder target to hit for the enemy. Third attachment, because this one is affecting your recoil, vertical and horizontal recoil control, third attachment is the underbarrel. The vertical is pretty decent, you know, pretty easy to control, so I've gone for the full grip, but if you prefer, you can go for the Spetsnaz grip, so to help your vertical and horizontal. That does come with the penalty of ADS firing move speed and firing movement speed. But you can counter that with the stock, and I've gone for the same stock again. This time it's called Spetsnaz PKM stock. You have an increased firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, ADS firing move speed. Same again, you know, when you're strafing left and right, when you're moving, you know, moving about, you're going to be pretty much flying, making it more difficult for the enemy to hit you. For the I haven't gone for an ammo attachment on this because the standard is 50 rounds, and 50 rounds is plenty to even, you know, kill 4 enemies. It's plenty to kill 4 enemies. So I've gone for the laser instead. I've gone for the KGB target designator. This gives you an increased damage range because we do need a little bit of help with the damage range, and it increases your hipfire accuracy as well. The only downside is it's going to be visible to enemies, but because the engagements are going to be quite close, you know, it doesn't really matter. And once again, no optic because the iron sights are pretty decent as well, very clear iron sights. You know, with this blueprint especially, Jungle Scrim, it has very clean iron sights, so you don't really need an optic. Instead, if you prefer an optic, you can take the laser off and use the Microflex LED, as I mentioned before. Very clear sight picture, you know, low zoom, so not much penalty on the ADS. The last gun is the MP5 Cold War version MP5. These are the attachment. Once again, monolithic or agency suppressor. It's attachment, ammunition, 40 round mag. You know, you can go for the 50 if you want, but I believe 40 is plenty to kill 4 enemies. You down 1, down 2, down 3, and then you just finish the full. 40 rounds is more than enough for Rebirth, with usually it's trios. Next attachment is the stock. Once again, I've gone for the SA combat stock for that movement speed increase and, you know, all the benefits, as I've said before, strafe speed. Next attachment I've gone for is underbarrel to help with the movement speed and hipfire accuracy, because as we've seen that the MP5 is very close range, so that means, you know, more often than not you're going to be having to hip fire, and this helps with the hip fire as well, and it helps with the movement speed. So the movement speed includes straight speed, sprint speed, tactical sprint speed, you know, ADS firing speed, all of that. It increases all of the movement speeds. So because it's such a close quarters gun, we need that increase in movement speed. So that means, you know, once you down one, you can quickly move around and flank the other teammate, or, you know, something like that. And then the next attachment I've gone for is the laser. This increases our damage range just ever so slightly, 1 meter. It increases it from 9 meters to 10 meters, which isn't great, but it does help with the hip fire accuracy. That's what is important. You know, instead of the laser, you can use a barrel. You can go for the task force barrel if you wanted, but that does increase your vertical and horizontal recoil, and it only, like I said before, it only increases your damage range from 9 meters to 10 meters, and, you know, it's already got a pretty decent bullet velocity, and, you know, the straight speed is pretty decent, but the cruiser grip, we already get movement speed increase, and then with the stock as well, we get, you know, firing move speed and aim walking movement speed increase as well. So that's basically increased straight speed. So if you prefer to go for a barrel instead of the laser, then I would suggest the task force, you know, because you get a little bit more straight speed. It already has decent bullet velocity. It's not going to increase the range, you know, any of these attachments, it's not going to increase the range, even with the, you know, this one, which is only increases your damage range. It's not going to increase it so much. It's only going to increase 1 meter from 9 meters to 10 meters. So you're pretty much wasting an attachment. So in my opinion, better to go for the laser to help with your hip fire accuracy, because it's such a close quarters gun. So my top 3 SMGs are going to be the Bullfrog for close range, you know, super aggro build. If your playstyle is like that, you know, you want to push teams, get kills, you know, you're super aggro, then the Bullfrog. And when the Bullfrog does get nerfed, you know, which they've said that they're going to nerf it pretty soon, which is probably going to be the mid-season update. When the next update happens, the Bullfrog is probably going to be nerfed. So when that does happen, then I'm going to probably move over to the MP5, Cold War MP5. Because, you know, it as we've seen, it just deletes people close range, and if you're super aggro and you like pushing teams like me, I like to push teams, I like to get kills, that is my play style, then this is the gun, because it just deletes people close range. Next up is the 𝘼𝙮. 𝘼𝙮, just as an all-rounder, is pretty decent close up. It's got a little bit decent range as well. You know, it's a very good gun. Even after the nerfs, I'll still say it's a very decent gun. You know, all round, it's pretty decent. The next one is the LC10 as a long-range SMG. You know, this can be used as, you know, it's very good all round. It's pretty decent close up, and it's got the best range for the SMGs. So, you know, up to that 20 meters, you know, between that 15 to 20 meters, this is going to be the gun. You know, it's got very decent, very good damage range. So for a long distance, I say long distance, 20 meters for an SMG is quite long distance. So for SMG, it's pretty decent. Bullfrog for close quarters, you know, super aggro. Then you got the 𝘼𝙮for 𝘼𝙮 as an all-rounder, you know, not super aggro, a little bit conservative. The LC10 for someone who's more conservative, who's not aggro, who doesn't like pushing teams, who likes, you know, keeping the distance between you and the enemy, then this is the gun. You know, it's got very decent range. And there you go, guys. That's the top three SMG class builds for Rebirth Island, in my opinion. So that's the end of the video here. I hope this video helped you out in deciding which SMG is for you, depending on your playstyle. If it did, then please smash that like button, guys. And also, if you're new to my channel, then please do consider subscribing to get even more helpful hints and tips videos just like this one. I'll probably do an AR plus setup video similar to this video for Rebirth Island, so make sure you're subscribed for that video. Okay guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, boy.